Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And as London confirmed their change ahead of the Pro-Am Classic, Scump has had a few words to say on how OpTic are faring screwing with General instead of iLLeY the last couple of days. He reckons there's probably plenty of work to do if they want to have any sort of good result at this event. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel on the verge, I believe, of 77,777 subscribers. Pretty cool number. We'll definitely hit it today if you guys just, you just have to check if you've hit the sub button or not. That's all it takes. First of all, let's dive into what's going to go on at the Pro-Am Classic then, because they confirmed yesterday that yes, there are going to be 4 streams going on. Main, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, I guess. So like I'm used to be Alpha, I guess, instead of the main channel, but yes, there'll be 4 streams going on at once. I remember in the Twitch days, you used to be able to have this thing called multi-Twitch or multi-stream or whatever it was called. I think it was multi-Twitch, that would let you bring up like 4 streams at once, which is, what we used to do back in the day. Of course, this is on YouTube, so I don't know whether that possibility exists. I know there is kind of a thing on YouTube where you can kind of like almost partner stream with someone, so maybe that's what they're going to do here. Not really sure, but that is pretty cool. We at least get the confirmation that there will be 4 streams going on this weekend for the 4 games going on at the same time on Thursday, Friday. We'll look at the schedule here towards the end of the video. Firstly, wanted to mention this though from the London Royal Ravens, of course, going on at the event. They confirmed that Harry is going to sub in for Gizmo at this event, and this seems like an actual kind of more long-term changes that Ravens point out. We've officially placed Harry in as our starter for the team, replacing Gizmo. Gizmo will remain as a sub for our squad going forward, right? So that's the thing, like they're basically not saying this is just a temporary thing for this event. They're saying this is for effectively the foreseeable future. Not sure this is the long-term vision they really have with the team, but we'll talk about Gizmo in a second here and the fact that he's going back to the UK again. I imagine like some family issues or just personal problems as he's talking about that he wants to take care of at home, which is also fantastic, and it's great the Ravens are supporting him to do this, right? And of course, in fairness, they are pretty nicely placed in terms of points for the season, so I think they're already at like 130 points, so they should be good enough to qualify for champs anyway, but obviously this isn't ideal for them as an organisation and as a team, but who knows what Harry can do, because he's coming in off like European Ultra Academy, and I think there was even a toss-up maybe before the season began between Harry and Gizmo for this position on the team, so we'll see how they fare this weekend, but of course we're going to have some details and have some practices going for other teams that have made some sort of moves, and as Gizmo says, as much as I love competing, my mental health has got to come first. I'll be returning home to deal with some personal issues. When I do compete in the league again, I'll be back to J Glizzy form. Appreciate all the love and support. Remember, health before wealth, he said. So great words I thought from Gizmo here, well, glad to see him doing this. Of course, what these personal issues entail, it's tough to say, whether he just wants to be closer to family. I thought this is kind of interesting actually from Shane here. The strong thing to do is to come forward with honesty. Props to you, buddy. You're helping pave the path for other players in the league who are undoubtedly going through similar issues with how stressful and demanding the job is. Always look after your mental, he says. So I guess he wants to go back home for a little bit and, to take care of whatever he's got to take care of. And, Shane and the rest of the guys are supporting him in that venture. So that's certainly good to see from the team. He also does this, I thought was kind of funny before he goes home, eventually, handing over to Harry to step into the team for, of course, this upcoming weekend. So very much interesting to see how they fare, because they were in an interesting group with Team War, the New York Subliners, of course, who we imagine are going to be announcing their change rather soon indeed. Kismet for Neptune, we believe. And then, of course, Los Angeles Thieves, they made that role change as well. So Group C, to me, is the most interesting one, and maybe gets even more interesting now with Harry in instead of Gizmo as well. So officially confirmed by the league last night. But of course, there has been some other changes going on. We'll talk about the OpTic ones here in just a second. But of course, what this does mean is that Toronto Ultra Academy Europe, who are kind of partnered with Team Singularity, they needed a replacement. We did wonder whether it could be Clayster coming into this team. Turns out that's not going to be the case, and Rafi's going to be competing this weekend. I think there was some drama this morning whether he was even or one of the guys on the team was waking up in time to catch their flight. But yeah, hopefully that all worked out okay. Rafi, a player that I've kind of heard about in the European amateur scene for quite some time. Cool to see him get his opportunity as well. But yeah, so much chaos going on this weekend already, to be honest. This also was worthy of note. There's clearly a Sheffield event going on in the UK here over the coming days, and Gizmo's actually competing in this one for Katana Gaming alongside Chaxter, Aroma, and Keza, right? So obviously, he's maybe okay enough to still compete in tourneys and stuff, but maybe just wants to be closer to home. I guess maybe we'll get an update in the future, right? But hopefully it worked out well for him and for the London Royal Ravens themselves. Let's dive into this then, right? So the Pro-Am Classic this weekend, it was confirmed first, I believe, by Daniel Sai here on the timeline. He says it'll be 4 streams. More specifics to come around that, but the short of it is you can catch all games live. So this, I believe, is the start OpTic play. Of course, well, this one, it's expected. Well, who's going to be on the mainstream? Let's just say who's going to be on Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and well, this is kind of how things look. So we'll look at the schedule itself towards the end of the video. Just wanted to look real quick at the format then, and the groups, just to remind you guys, if you aren't familiar with them. Beginning Thursday, all this type of stuff kicks off, and the groups will play out in a single round robin format over the first 2 days. Then the top 2 from each group will go through to the bracket play, which looks exactly like this. So yes, unfortunately, it's only a single elimination bracket. It does surprise me really, just because we've seen what Halo did this past weekend, a traditional MLG format where they have groups into a bracket play, a double elimination brackets. They do that in just 3 days. The CDL have 4 days to do this event, and still it's single round robin groups into single, you know, bracket format, right? So I'm pretty sure if they really wanted to, they could have done a double elimination bracket here, even if it means they have to do it over 2 streams. But surely they're doing 4 streams on day 1 and 2, so why not do, you know, Alpha Bravo on Saturday and then kind of, you know, maybe just Alpha stream or whatever on the Sunday to make sure you can make all this happen, right? But, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll work out rather nicely. This is how it works effectively. So Group A plays Group B, first versus seconds, and a DC, CD, all this type of stuff, as you guys might well expect. Also, not sure what the finals format is going to be here. Is it going to be just a normal best of 5? Is it going to be a best of 9? Like, what are they going to do? Because it's not a major, right? So maybe they won't do best of 9s. And I think at the Pro-Am Classic, it was just one best of 5 series between Toronto and Seattle to decide the winner. So, like, maybe that's what they'll do again. I suppose we'll find out over the coming days. But let's talk about the OpTic situation then, because of course, General is subbing in for iLLeY this upcoming weekend. There's been plenty of talk. Is this going to be, well, an acceptable kind of trade-off, right? Because iLLeY, like, his slaying at Major 2 wasn't great. General's a very solid player in the Challenger side, has been for a very long time indeed. Did a pretty good job when he gets subbed in back in Modern Warfare, right, on the Huntsman, but I'm pretty sure didn't get to play any real official matches. So this is his chance to kind of prove to maybe other teams in the league that, like, he's a guy to go for next season instead of having to just sit on the sub bench for OpTic for the rest of time effectively. So lots to prove on the General side. But of course, OpTic still want to do well. They want to get out of their pretty difficult group with Florida, Minnesota, Rokkr, and of course that Ultra Academy Europe that we just looked at, and make a decent run in the bracket. And Scump's been kind of talking about how this has been going for him the last couple of days. Thought this is a funny tweet. Make sure to get better today. But I didn't even notice the second 2 in this when I read it the first time round. But yeah, it actually reads completely wrong. But I didn't even notice it. My brain just fixed it for me in my head when I read it the first time. But he's talking about this, how the scrims have been going with General, saying, yeah, considering General's just come in, they've been pretty good. But I mean, he's probably not going to say they've been terrible. Like, if you're going to read between the lines, it's he says it's rather different having iLLeY in the team, and it's going to be difficult for them to get a good result. So I'll share the clip, and you guys can, well, let me know what you think.
The only thing I really played
I was
on
playing
that
with Jordan. I mean, it's definitely it's definitely different.
Bit of, like, split screen,
I mean,
like,
adding a new player into the system,
match,
it's definitely different. I mean, I would say our scrims went overall pretty well for our first day.
Halo 3 though, right?
Yeah, I played that. That was like the first FPS.
We're just gonna have to like keep working at it. You just gotta make everyone as comfortable as we possibly can before the Pro-Am.
No.
That's
nope.
It's gonna be tough, but we can do it. I've missed you. I'm sorry I haven't been streaming. I needed a break, man. I needed a break. I'm telling you. I was talking to Kevy, and I always do this, right? I stream, and I never like give myself a break in the middle of it, and I just burn myself out, and I go ghost. It happens every year. This is the second time. It happens every year. It's like, I gotta learn some balance. I have to. I've been struggling with balance. It's one of my hardest things is balancing competing and content at this point in my career. I can't find a good balance. It's either I'm going 100 and then I burn myself out after like 6 to 8 months of doing that, or I go 0 and then I only focus on competing. You know what I'm saying? I need to find a better balance. But I'm back now.
So it will be really interesting to me to see how this team will fare, right? Because iLLeY, like everyone talks about, well, it's kind of a split opinion really on iLLeY, whether he's useless and whether, like, because he doesn't drop up, well, 1.2, like, he's useless player on the team, or whether people realize, okay, he brings a lot of intangibles and leadership and, like, well, other elements of the team, let's just say. So without him, like, how will the team do? And of course, they've only got a few days to practice here with General, and the kind of words that Scump said, he said, it's pretty good the first couple of scrims, the first few days, doesn't sound like it's anywhere near as good as it was with iLLeY, though, and also, like, just saying it's going to be pretty difficult to get a good result, and it's very different with General instead of iLLeY. That is also a question, right? Just because Dashy, typically, main assault rifle player on this team, General usually also relatively slower assault rifle player, doesn't necessarily fit the perfect mold of what iLLeY's going to try and do. So I guess General's going to try and be in that iLLeY role, which might be difficult for him, right? Because if you're General, like you want to kind of prove this event that like you have what it takes to be in the Pro League. But if you have to kind of like slip into that iLLeY dirty work type role, then you might not be able to do that at least statistically quite as well as you might do if you're in a different position, right? So it was an interesting trade-off there, to be honest, but between what's best for General as in terms of like what his raw playstyle is generally and what the rest of the team can do. But yeah, Scump seems confident they can turn it around, but at the same time believes it might be a rather long and difficult road for him to get back to that point. The other clip I believe I just shared there was about the kind of what Scump's idea was really about, well, coming back to streaming, the trade-off really between streaming and content, and he says that often he goes all in on one or the other, like maybe he did in streams for the first couple of months of this game, then he takes like too much time off, and maybe his opinion, he took too much time off off just because, you know, like he gets burnt out effectively of doing all the content and also competing on the sidelines, right, which is obviously very difficult for him. So I think he's trying to find a better balance of that really going forwards. But yeah, look, we hope, we believe iLLeY's going to be back at full health straight after the Pro-Am. Hopefully it's been improving over the last couple of days as well. That straight into Major 3 qualifiers, he can get back into the team. But it also does kind of disrupt the momentum in a little bit of a way, because the last few weeks, teams effectively took a few weeks off, or maybe at least a couple of weeks off, really, doing the mid-season break, as you might well expect them to. And then they've just got back into scrimming the last couple of weeks, effectively. And of course, with OpTic no longer scrimming with kind of their main team, right, like it doesn't put them in the most ideal position going into Major 3, because, I mean, other teams are going to have their full team practicing with them to, like, you know, get all ready to go. So don't really think it'll affect OpTic in the long term, and in the short term, it might be a bit of a hiccup for them. Of course, like, probably going into Major 2, for example, with Los Angeles Guerrillas, they would have said, look, there's no way this is going to work. I think they played a couple of days with Spart, and he said in an interview I did with him on the Breaking Point channel a day or so ago now, that they were relatively confident in those scrims. It was looking okay. Their search and destroy they felt relatively confident in. And the scrims went all right, but like nothing spectacular, right? So who knows what can happen actually at the event itself. But yeah, if we get back-to-back events with a team with a substitute winning either OpTic or London, it's going to be, well, a massive surprise. I don't really think it's going to happen, especially on Scump's words. But who cannot see all these guys out to this point? This is also from Dashy, right? Because I do wonder what's going to happen there, right? With the whole Dashy general dynamic in terms of the AR positions. Like, I mean, honestly, most maps nowadays, you don't really need an SMG or like a third SMG most of the time. A lot of the situation is just going to be 2 autos, 2 MP40s most of the map, which probably works out rather nicely there. But on some maps where there is going to be a third SMG needed, is general going to be the guy? Is Dashy going to be the guy? Like, I guess we'll see how they decide to figure things out. But let's look at the schedule here for this weekend. So this is the Thursday games. There was some talk about the fact that none of the amateur teams, I believe, are going to be on the mainstream on either of these days. I guess they will be on the mainstream if they do well enough to get through to the bracket play, which is going to be a really tough ask, I think, against some of the pro teams. But, you know, it's to be expected, really. You pay $25 million. That's probably good enough to get you on the mainstream, to be honest. But yeah, these are the games. So this is at the 3 p.m. Eastern games on the mainstream, the Bravo stream, Charlie stream, Delta stream, this type of stuff. OpTic play Ultra Academy EU right here. And I mean, it's, well, FaZe versus Surge on the mainstream. And then we've got OpTic versus Florida Mutineers on the mainstream towards the end of the day. Pretty good stuff, all things considered. Hopefully, Ben J and Asim clutches up with all the broadcasting and that type of stuff. So this is the Thursday. The Friday, it looks like this. So OpTic again have one of their games on the mainstream against their 2 games against the pro teams there on the mainstream. Same with, I guess, the Los Angeles Thieves right here. But yeah, London versus Los Angeles Thieves, OpTic versus Minnesota Rokkr, Boston versus LAG, and then I think OpTic only play 1 game here on this Friday. But there's no doubt some really interesting games here, and it does give you good vibes. Like when you see a game like London versus New York on the Charlie stream, just kind of well, rolls you back to the good old, I guess, MLG CWL-esque days, and Octane's certainly excited for it. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. I was like you should see it as well, and I'm growing the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.